live.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there. The Vanguard will be there. Be there. Be there.
What's up, everybody? We are back. How you boys doing?
Back.
Back at it.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Vanguard live stream. We got Griffin in tow. I guess this is actually a Circle Jerk Vanguard collab. So what's up, everyone? Welcome back. We have an awesome, spicy show, juicy, dripping with juice. It's going to be an awesome time. We have some great stories today. And yeah, we got some support. Griffin is here to join us to give his thoughts. We've been breaking down this TYT situation for weeks, months, years now. But you guys know what we think. You guys are probably tired of hearing us say the same thing over and over again. What does this man think about the situation?
Yeah, you got to hear from a super fan. Yeah, exactly.
Number one TYT Army member.
Yeah, we were digging in the annals of the internet looking for who the perfect representation would be for the crossover of a Young Turks Asmongold segment. And bam, we were like, this guy is not only an Asmongold super historian, but he happens to be familiar.
Please don't credit me like that.
He happens to be familiar with the steady decline in viewership seen at the Young Turks Network. We were like, man, what luck have we?
I'm less focused specifically on one channel on YouTube, but I'm a YouTube connoisseur. You know, I love all YouTube channels equally. They're all wonderful, and I love to analyze them. I love like a scientist.
You're unaligned.
This man is the sommelier of YouTube channels. He's got quite a Rolodex that he's willing to draw from at any time. But Gavin, Griffin, this is a live stream. We like to begin and end every live stream here at the Vanguard with a hearty shout out to the people that keep the lights on at the Casa del Vanguard. We're not big time like Griffin. We don't have thousands of dollars in equipment just hanging out behind us, unused.
Lighting grid.
All these overhead lights. We have our patrons. We have the humble folks that keep the lights on here, that keep a smile on our faces, you know, that wipe our tears away when we cry. You know, that's the Vanguard community. That's the comrades, Vanguardians, and super Vanguardians that get a hearty shout out with extra love from me and Gavin at the beginning and end.
It's like the Wolf of Wall Street thing you're doing there. Well, what's going on with that?
That's how hard my heart beeps.
I was gonna say, Chad, does he do that every show? That slap to his. Watch out.
Yeah, Griffin wishes he was hard like that if he had this man meat going on over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, shout out to the patrons. Thank you guys so much for making the show possible. Hit up that link in the description if you want to support the show that way. Just $5 a month. Get your own name up there on the shout out screen before the next live stream. Also, another great way to support the show is to become a YouTube member, Run from the Sun, and
Untamed Chaos.
Untamed Chaos. Yeah, shout out to both of you guys for becoming YouTube members. Really appreciate that. Both YouTube members and patrons get access to the full library of live streams. So that's a great perk. In addition to others, you guys can find out about those at the link in the description.
Absolutely.
Yep. Really YouTube memberships are kind of like voting. It's actually better than voting.
Many people are saying this.
So you don't actually have to register or show up or anything if you just hit join below. And that is honestly maybe going to help democracy more long term. If we're thinking big picture, if we're pushing the boulder up the hill and never seen communism, but you know, just doing our
part. Especially if you live in a safe state, like come on. I mean, one thing is clearly going to have more impact than the other.
That's
Vanguard
right. Exactly.
2028. Everybody, we've got 2020 vision and we're carrying it right into the future. Anyway, another great way to support the show, fellas, that's super chats. We love to respond to a super chat or two here at the Circle Jerk America Vanguard crossover. Was TYT sub since 2008. I'm old. So it's Griffin. It's okay. It's clear Anna's prepping for a job at Daily Wire. Used to love them. Now I regularly shout F-bombs whenever I hear her latest BS. Probably not what Jank envisioned.
Which F-bomb?
Feminism.
Feminism.
Yeah, shout out to you, Jonna. We're going to have to be contemplating that for the rest of the show. Unless you want to clarify, feel free to. But thank you so much for the super chat. We're going to be getting into the decline of TYT. It is nice to hear it, though, from someone who's been watching since 2008. Obviously, I started my journey with TYT around 2015, probably, maybe 2014 was like the first time I saw a TYT video. And I definitely was a pretty big fan for a while. It was one of my big entry points into independent media. I think, like pretty much anyone who pays attention to the space now on the left, there was a point in time where you were probably a big fan of the show. So, that's where we're coming at this from. It's not like we've been haters from day one. A lot of people on YouTube, specifically on the right, they've never given TYT the benefit of the doubt. They've never been honest or given them credit where credit is due in the past. They've always just been interested in tearing down Jank and Anna. Not the case for Zach and I. Like I said, we come at this from a place of being former fans. So definitely interesting. Shout out to you, Jonna.
Yep. But we've got an Anna simp in the house. Shout out to Veronica. She's still got love in her heart for Anna, and we're okay with that. This is a heterodox melting pot podcast. Everybody's here to speak their mind, free to speak their mind. We'll just tell you if you're wrong. Shout out to Veronica.
Shout out to you.
Yeah. Veronica. No matter where you fall politically, we can all agree Anna does serve. She serves every day.
She serves something, that's for sure. Fellas, what's the first topic we'd like to get into today? What should be the entry point? We've been 1 week apart, haven't had the old band back together in a while. What's tickling your guys' fancy this fine afternoon?
Well, I mean, it's up to you guys. We were talking TYT if we just want to get straight into that, or the Asmongold thing. It's really up to you guys.
Let's get into the TYT. Gavin, are you ready to get into the muck, get into the mire, get into the gutter with the Gutter Guard Circle Jerk America crossover segment?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Let's talk TYT. I know that some of you guys are still trickling in, so we'll roll out the carpet slow for you all. Start with some tidbits and then eventually get to the bigger picture. But yeah, the backlash at TYT is real. The backlash with the viewers is real, at least if you look at their numbers and if you look at the responses from fans across the web. People are pretty pissed and they don't love the gaslighting. I think that's a big issue here. Instead of actually addressing what's being talked about, which is Ana Kasparian's right-wing grift, the groundwork being clearly laid in front of all of us, instead of addressing this, I find it interesting that Jank and Ana kind of want to just move along, not lean into the drama, not respond to their critics, not invite any critic on to debate or to actually win in the marketplace of ideas. They just kind of want to gaslight anyone that calls them out and keep moving. So it's an interesting strategy that I think has manifested in a real frustration from their audience. I think it would be one thing if Jank and Ana really leaned into this controversy, really capitalized, frankly, on the drama, put out a video clapping back at their critics, right? I think a lot of people would appreciate that, not just because of the sensationalism and the kind of scandalous nature of leaning into such a public controversy, but also, again, defend your ideas. If you're so convinced that you're right about this and that the critics are incorrect, then come out there and say it. But you can't just sweep this under the rug. You can't just sweep this under the rug with so much of the fan base essentially turning on them, not just in the comments, but one of our viewers actually sent us this video. He's a longtime TYT viewer, Pendulous Dragon. He took the protest to a new extreme. Check this out. His former TYT shirt. I think people all across their audience are doing this. I don't think this is a one-off event, guys. I'm pretty sure
it's
TYT army members across the nation are
causing forest fires.
Look at that high quality merch, by the way. Look at that seriously good quality. They put their backs into that TYT merchandise. They wanted everybody to know, hey, we care about you. We're using your money wisely, and we'll always stand up for the LGBTQ community if it's convenient for enriching us.
Yeah, is this the gay rainbow one? I love that too. That's sick. That's awesome.
Our fan or audience member Pendulous Dragon sent us that apparently he was a huge fan of TYT back in the day. Sorry, Griffin. He was a huge fan of TYT back in the day. Not very impressed by their recent trajectory. But before we actually look at the numbers and look at some more recent cope from Ana, her Substack, stuff like that, do you have any thoughts on this, guys, on the direction they're taking the channel, and specifically their refusal to actually address any of the criticism or invite on someone to hash this out?
Yeah, Griffin, you want to take a stab at it?
I mean, okay, there's kind of two things here, like how they got here, and then also just like, should they respond to the criticism? I mean, basically, like any YouTuber that gets canceled kind of has the option to just kind of like show up and keep posting through it. And that generally works. I mean, literally, like Dr. Disrespect like went down for like pedo shit, and then like came back a few weeks later and is just like posting through it. The majority of his fan base is still watching him. And it seems like more when you do a big apology and like take a break, which is like death for any YouTube channel, that seems to be like the bad way to go. So like, I guess, yeah, they could post through it, but what always kind of like makes my head scratch, to your point, Gavin, why aren't they like capitalizing on it more? It seems like they kind of want it both ways. Like they want to be these like feisty kind of rad libs that are gonna kind of say what they want to say, and they're like fucking liberals. But then like, yeah, they don't always actually like want to fight it out. They don't want to like juice all that you can in the way that like Destiny will, where he will go into like any room in the country and like fight about it. So yeah, I'm always a little confused on their angle.
I think you're right when they want to have their cake and eat it too. Look, TYT got so jaded as an outlet, if you want to call them that, as a YouTube channel, because they experienced such explosive growth during the Bernie Sanders era, right? And I don't think that could be lost on anybody who makes political content at all, because whether or not you were on the political left or you were on the political right, from 2016, there has been a surge in new, independent, politically disenfranchised folks that are eager to search out content, whether that was for Bernie Sanders, whether that was for Donald Trump, whether that was for any of the hodgepodge candidates that were on the docket in 2016 for either political party, or 2020 for either political party, right? This has engaged people for a long time. Now that's petering out. Now you're starting to realize, oh my gosh, I actually have to really compete. Oh my gosh, it is not a, gold mine of people who I can just interview this random person that's running for Congress, say they want Medicare for all, or say they want to build a border wall, and
the
get
good old days
clicks on it. Yeah, it's not like that anymore. And the Young Turks don't understand that because they have this holier than thou approach to their political content that they're putting out, because they want to be both rad lib centrist, but they also want to stick to their progressive branding that they've put out for all this time, that they don't have an audience anymore, that they can't get the I'm terrified of Trump clicks. They can't get the I'm a progressive. They can't get the I'm a Green Party voter clicks. They can't get any clicks. And now they're a channel that's, torpedoing itself towards irrelevancy. You know what I mean? I think it's because they don't understand what made them successful in the first place. They were a consequence of the Bernie Sanders movement. They were not, Bernie was making waves. They were surfing in them, right? They were not creating their own opportunities. And now that the well has dried up, they simply do not know how to regain relevance.
Yeah, I think you're right in the iteration of TYT that most people know, the one that kind of grew out of the Bernie movement. There definitely was a TYT.
They've been around a lot before that. Yeah, they were the first ones on the scene. Like basically any like political show that's trying to look like the news on the internet like owes a lot to them, right? And like they like carved a lot of those paths and stuff. But yeah, I mean YouTube in general, if you don't like evolve, you kind of die or whatever.
That's media in general, right?
But I did, while we were talking about this before the show, I was thinking about it, and I totally forgot. Cenk fucking ran for president this year.
and Congress 2 years ago.
And he didn't even, like, turn it into content. Like, it could have been good content. Like, it could have been, like, inside him going around. Like, I know he, like, filmed it with a documentarian. I haven't seen where any of that footage is. But, like, he could have, like, both of them don't seem to be interested in making...
for tax season to release that.
Because both of them could be making content on the channel, right? But like Ana wants to just go on like all these other shows and kind of like complain and kind of do that content over there.
Well, Ana hates when she goes live by herself because nobody watches.
But then also, oh wow, so it's kind of like the Gavin Zach thing.
Ouch! Ouch!
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just guessing. So the thing is like also. Cenk has actually been doing killer content this year by debating on peers all the time, like going on debates all the time, but he's not doing like any of that on his own channel. So it's like, I feel like they're both giving their best selves elsewhere.
That's a great point. That's such a great point, Griffin. And you're right about Cenk. He's a really talented debater. He doesn't always win debates, but he's good at getting people's attention. He's a bull in a china shop. You know, he really takes that intense approach. But weirdly, it seems like the one thing he's not good at debating people on or defending is the Young Turks itself. I wanted to play this clip that one of our friends, Hank, Winners and Losers in chat, sent us. This is hilarious, but also a fascinating insight, I think, into Cenk Uyghur's mind. Because someone called into the show the other day. Cenk was doing a call-in segment. They call him to confront him on the allegation that he tried to bust the TYT union. We've talked about this extensively on the podcast. We've interviewed people about it. We've spoken to people that were involved in that effort and can confirm that it's true. Cenk did try to bust the union. It succeeded in spite of him. So that's the truth.
Awesome. That's such a curb storyline. Just like try to bust it and it still doesn't work. You're stuck with it anyways. It's just awesome all around.
And now when person calls in to confront him on this, weirdly, you're not going to see that Cenk Uyghur that you referenced, Griffin, who kicks ass on Piers Morgan. You're not going to see that Cenk Uyghur who's really good at kind of steamrolling his opponent. What you're about to see is a ball of nerves. It's quite crazy in my opinion. So yeah, let's check this out, guys. I'm interested in your opinion. And again, it's weird how Cenk is seemingly so interested in debate and defending his positions, unless it comes to his own company and his own co-host, when obviously so many people are, trashing the Young Turks at the current moment. You would think that he would have a little bit more energy to defend himself, his co-host, and his network. But let's take a look at this before we continue the conversation.
For a second there, I thought you might be an independent, but you're definitely not an independent, a Democrat, or Republican.
Oh, what the hell? Sorry, guys.
And the one thing you know is I'm a douchebag, but that's where we got stuck. Okay, I don't know what you're for, brother.
How do you feel about all? By the way, you're so pro your worker, right? Then why is your ex-staff accusing you of being a union buster then?
Oh yeah. Okay, so I'll answer all these, even though so this is just random.
Are you a union buster?
No, I'm definitely not a union buster.
Live.
So
there's evidence that proves otherwise, though.
what evidence? All right, brother.
This guy on the phone is so gassed
run.
up.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, he's a brave Adderall warrior. He's a Ritalin warrior.
You've had a nice run. Bye-bye. Okay, so, but let me address that because I know I'm going to get crank calls.
So he just hangs up on the guy, and we can watch the rest, but he just hangs up on the guy. Don't you think the Cenk we know, the one we just referenced, would make a passionate defense, change the guy's mind, shut him down? This is weird.
Well, it's not weird if you think about the fact that he knows he's been caught with his pants down, right? He knows he can't back that guy into a corner for all. He knows that guy's going to start reading from a Business Insider article about how Cenk rejected the union, how the voter cards were already signed and submitted, and he had the ability to recognize the union, or it was going to go through a long, drawn-out battle. He then went publicly and suggested that it was the Oppo from the Christy Smith campaign and the Democratic Party that was trying to unionize the TYT staff at a vulnerable moment for him. Pretty crazy stuff. So he can't come out and be the Cenk, right? One of the things that I think is true about your point about Cenk, Gavin, is that he is a bull in a china shop, but he has to have right on his side. He has to be morally correct, and that's how he brings up this storm of conviction. That's how he never wavers. That's how he never loses sight of the eye out in the ball, right? If he talks about, Medicare for all, if he talks about the need to stop the suffering of what's happening in Palestine, right? If he illustrates to people, hey, we have to do better for this country. He's awesome. Where he always shits the bed is when he's like, well, actually, guys, the corporate donor class is bad when it comes to this. But in my case, when they're donating to me, it's actually pretty fire. He just won't talk about Katzenberg and how he pissed that $20 million from the DreamWorks founder away, right? He's not good at answering tough questions. He runs away from them because he's a coward.
Yeah, you got to kind of control. You have to kind of hang up. I mean, that's that's as close to any kind of positive outcome you can get out of that one, right? I mean, what else are you going to say? Especially when you're going up against a guy who's on pure cocaine. Like that guy was about to just like spit whirlwinds of shit at him. Like I mean, yeah, like no, Cenk has obviously been up against crazier opponents, but yeah, to Zach's point, it's about something that's very personal and awkward. So yeah, he's gonna bail on it.
I think Zach's right though that Cenk would have been able to talk to this guy and he would have been able to make his case if he actually was right about it. If he knew that was an incorrect and false accusation, you know what I'm saying? But the reason why he has to rage quit the phone call is because he knows like he's not going to be able to change this guy's mind because the dude is right, even though he is on cocaine and even though he is seemingly a little bit crazy, he's still right about it.
I would love to like ask Biden to Taft Harley the TYT workspace, make him get back to work, shove him back in there, get to cutting, get to posting.
Let's take a look at some of Cenk's defense here. We'll listen to the part one more time where he hangs up on the guy and then hear what he has to say in defense of his union busting, which was widely reported on at the time. Like I said, Google TYT founder unionization. You're going to find articles about it, guys. This isn't some smear. This isn't some conspiracy that people cooked up to make Cenk look bad. This actually did happen. And we've talked about it on, with people who were affected by it. But anyway, let's hear the rest of this.
What evidence? All right, brother, you've had a nice run. Bye-bye. Okay, so let me address that because I know I'm going to get crank calls when you do random callers. And I know that they're going to try to bring up stuff. Wow, oh, wow. So, guys, we busted the union so hard here that there's a union here.
Yeah.
Edwin, are you in the union? Edwin's in the union. Look at that. Oh, that's so weird. John, you in the union?
Yes, I am.
Huh. They appear to be entirely
The guy was like, "Oh my god,
get fucked, tweaking leftist." You fucking
this is
loser.
This is like when they have a woman come on at the halftime of the Super Bowl for a special commercial from Amazon, where she like gets in front of the camera and she's clearly terrified, and she's like a 45-year-old woman, like English is clearly her second or third language, and she's like, Mr. Bezos and Amazon gave me and my family an opportunity for success. When I come to this country, I was getting paid $7.25. And Mr. Bezos, Jeff Bezos is like, and what are you getting paid now? Right now, I am getting paid $16.75. Everybody give a round of applause. This woman's hard work and a 90% raise. This is America. This is why you come to this country. Ma'am, do you mind if I ask you, what were you paid back in your home country? I was paid 7 cents a day. 7 cents a day, folks. Wow. America's the land of opportunity. Everybody work for Amazon. Everybody work for Amazon. The home of the progressive workforce.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. I also wanted to take a look. We talked a bit about some of the lack of doubling down, some of the lack of leaning into the debate bro culture that seems like it could be fertile ground for
hit that shit up. Go in. I mean, refresh the channel.
I don't know why they're acting like they're above it. Some of their most popular content in the past has been leaning into the drama. It's the Young Turks. This isn't democracy now. Look at this. TYT responds to Jimmy Dore. I remember when this happened. I remember if TYT was going to respond to this controversy, the Jimmy Dore, I don't know if he started it or if Ana started it, depending on who you ask. We don't have to relitigate all of that. But when TYT did respond, they absolutely clobbered. They got their most viewed video that month, I believe. This was one of their highest viewed videos probably of that whole year for them. So, I mean, even just from a purely monetary perspective, even just from like a views perspective, it seems dumb not to address this on air. It seems dumb not to lean into the controversy a little bit and say, yeah, I am right about this for reasons X, Y, and Z. My critics are woke or whatever. Like, say what you got to say. And then obviously Zach and I will have a heyday responding to it, of course. But at least say your piece. I think it is very cowardly for them not to address it at all. And it's frankly denying the people what they want. Like I said, a lot of people that listen to TYT, they came to TYT because TYT did lean into sensationalism. They did lean into drama. They always have. But Zach, I wanted to put up this on screen because you tweeted out this today, I believe, right?
Yeah, this morning I saw this. And to your point, Gavin, we've been watching this for a long time on the Vanguard. We remember going live immediately after that Jimmy Dore clip came out from Ana Kasparian. They were firing back and forth. Kyle Kalinske was weighing in. It was a heyday for the early days of the Vanguard. That's how we rode to 20K, baby. Only took us 3 years to get past that, right? We've made it out on the other side. But the Young Turks, dude, they're falling by the wayside. I'll go ahead and move us over. I think a little. Oh, that's the wrong button. Here, well, we can maybe zoom in a little bit if you guys see. I'll just throw it up full screen for everybody. We'll go audio only for a second. You guys can see this is a channel with 6 million subscribers, right? A dream for any YouTuber. Almost impossible now. Griffin, you could probably weigh in a little bit better than that, but probably impossible now for any starter news channel to ever make it to 6 million subs without dramatic outside help at this point in YouTube's history. And instead, they're of using that platform that they've built instead of, investing in it and watering the flower. I don't know what analogy I'm trying to go for here. They basically just let it rot. They've let it wither. They've
leader in fertilization I think is what you meant.
Absolutely.
The
in
Trump
vitro
line.
Fertilization. That's what I said. They're getting 15, 20, 55,000 views on a video, which you have to understand. For a show like this, we're going to imagine that for every 1,000 views they get on YouTube, they're getting somewhere in the range of $4, maybe $5 if they've got a really good deal with YouTube, but their clips aren't that long, so I doubt it, right? This is not enough to sustain the very large, high-cost operation of the Young Turks, and they just can't seem to figure it out.
Yeah.
So a few things there probably on the business end is like when you're a company as long running as TYT, there are multiple revenue like streams that aren't just directly from like ads, and like any company of this size isn't like existing just off one channel's YouTube ads. In fact, don't they also have multiple other channels that are doing better than this? Like Rebel HQ, I think, is one of them.
Well, that's a great point, Griffin. Before I let you finish your point, let's compare the views on the Young Turks main page. This is, I'm not cherry picking. These are just their recent videos. Some of them do better than others, but it looks like a pretty standard video does about 40,000 views. If you actually go over to the damage report, which has not abandoned the progressive mantle at all, John Iadarola is a straight up progressive. I might have some disagreements with the guy, but he's definitely not a grifter. His videos are doing better than the ones with Jank and Ana, which has to be a blow to Jank's ego. He clearly considers himself alongside Ana to be the face of the brand. I don't know, bro. That would be kind of crazy, to be getting beat by John Iadarola, who's nowhere near as big of a name. I mean, he doesn't go on Piers Morgan every fucking week. He doesn't run for president, as you said, Griffin. John Iadarola is a respected co-host on TYT or a respected host on the Damage Report, but I just feel like it's pretty crazy that he's getting way better viees on the Damage Report. And I think
that makes sense to me. Yeah, I think that makes sense to me actually, because John is like very mellow and chill. He's like Jank and Ana, who I love, and I think a lot of people in this chat and in like the Vanguard community think they're like grifters. I think they actually like really earnestly believe what they believe. I agree with a lot of stuff with Jank. I don't agree a lot with Ana anymore, but I do think that she like earnestly like feels these things, even if she's got into them from dumb avenues or has reached dumb conclusions. I think she actually believes the stuff she believes. But both of them are like this kind of like this id of liberalism, the angry, aggressive side, right? Like we're liberals, and like liberals don't like seeing themselves that way. Like liberals like seeing themselves like the Ezra Kleins or the Pod Saves. Yeah. This like calm, soft voice. We're talking to you about the news today and how Trump is going to destroy democracy. Like, and so like the rad lib thing really doesn't have a lot of cachet unless you want to fight everyone and go into like every arena. So like someone like Steven, like Destiny. So yeah, it's this thing where I do see someone like John starting to just kind of grow and naturally just grow a liberal audience that wants to hear soothing tones. A lot of this is audio, guys.
Yeah, and let me push back just a second before I let you get in there, Zach. I think that you're probably right, Griffin, about the fact that in a sense Jank and Ana believe what they say. However, I do think it's very convenient that they refuse to actually debate these subject matters, double down, like we talked about, on some of these more controversial positions with their audience, and not just their audience, with a lot of the people that still work at the Young Turks or very recently worked at the Young Turks, people that were quit or were fired by Jank and Ana because of disagreements. To me, it reeks of intellectual dishonesty or intellectual cowardice when you refuse to engage with any of those people, when you refuse to respond to your critics and just totally isolate yourself when it seems like what are you hiding from? Do you is this a genuine transition? Because if it was, why aren't you just coming out here and explaining it? Why are you running away from anyone that wants to hold you accountable? Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Is this a full transition? Is she going L to C? Or is she going to do the whole surgery? We're going to see. We're going to see if she fully transitions.
The other thing I think that, reeks of the grift element, right? Because I do think you're totally right. Anna's being honest when she says she doesn't like to see dirty, disgusting homeless people. She doesn't have to lie when she comes out and says like, oh, I don't feel comfortable around black dudes. I only feel comfortable around white people. That's paraphrasing, but it is essentially what her position is, right? When you have fundraised and paid your bills for a decade saying, hey, become a member of TYT. Fight for progressive change. Do you want to be a part of a progressive revolution? Back us up. Help us grow. We are the progressive change you want to see. Get behind us. Fight, fight, fight. When you then turn on a dime the second that goes out of fashion, when you turn on a dime and you're like, actually, I want to run to the warm, wet snatch of the right wing and indoctrinate myself in all of their culture war nonsense and be the left flank of the right. Yeah, I do think that comes across as a grift because it's clear that your political instincts aren't governing you. It's your own self-preservation and it's your own, desire to.
But I would argue that
capital and power.
I hear what you're saying, but I would argue, and I like the impact zoom when I started talking there. And although I just got a message from someone watching saying I look like I'm about to fall asleep. Awesome. If you're shouts out to that texter who will go anonymous.
Yeah.
So
Hi,
I think
Griffin's
that
mom.
I think that you're right. Hi. I think that you're right that they've like reached these conclusions through like grievance and I mean, especially with Anna, through grievance and through reactions to other people like online reacting to them and kind of getting shifted. But I would argue that's still like it's still earnest or it feels earnest for them, right? Like they're not waking up being like, let me put on the mask and let me go out there and grift. They like earnestly are like, man, like people are just so mean and I got to do something about this. And I got to like really like make a mark and stand up to bullies or something. Like they like no one sees themselves as a bad guy. No one sees themselves as a grifter or whatever.
Okay,
So yeah, that's my point, I guess.
I do totally agree in the context of anyone who's not a political commentator who knows how the algorithm works and who understands the financial incentive to do what Ana Kasparian is doing. Like if we're talking about your Aunt Susie or something who, is turning into a turf. Yeah, I agree. But we're talking about a political commentator who has watched many of her own colleagues execute what she is currently in the midst of executing to massively lucrative results.
Yes, I could see. Obviously, some people can sense that there's like energy when like certain things happen. That is part of being a content creator for sure. But
to me, it seems
are
more
you guys arguing?
Politics.
Are you guys saying that she actually secretly has more lefty politics and is putting on this like rightward politic angle to gain money? Because that's what I'm asking in terms of grifting, right? That's my one hang up with the term.
Well, when I say grifting, what I mean is that she's willing to, read the room and say, oh, that's my politics now. I think that she is so amiable or malleable, I guess either term would work, to whatever is in vogue, whatever is in fashion, right? If you go back to old TYT before Bernie, she was happy to just make lowbrow content. She was happy to just talk shit. She was happy to talk about Britney Spears' camel toe on air, right? She was willing to humiliate that woman during a very
Let's go back.
Right, that's what they need.
That's what they used to do. She was but now then she went into the I'm a radical progressive and everything is important. That's important to me is about.
We need a fourth mic, Anna.
Progressive politics, right? You know what I'm saying? And now she's like, oh my God, the left is so mean. I'm going to go on Jillian Michaels' podcast. I'm going to go on Iced Coffee Hour. I'm going to go on the Daily Wire and talk about how the left can't be reasoned with. Only the right wing can be reasoned with. That's a huge political evolution that can only be explained by two things. One, you're not relevant enough on your own anymore. And two, you're not making as much money as you used to be.
Yeah. Plus, she keeps playing up the fact that, I used to be a hardcore member of this faction. Yes. And that's the classic grifter move. That's the Tulsi Gabbard. That's the Dave Rubin. It's one thing to just have and I remember a lot of people accused Glenn Greenwald of the same thing. We had him on the show once and, asked him to respond to that accusation that people said he was doing the Dave Rubin. And I remember he was like, He was like, no, I never like flamboyantly declared that like I'm leaving the left, as these people have been. And you can make of that whatever you want. I don't know if people in our audience think Glenn is part of that category or not. I don't really care. But the point is, I think Ana absolutely has participated in that kind of flamboyant rebrand. And again, it's all about branding. It's one thing to adjust your thoughts. Oh, maybe now I'm more pro-gun than I was last year because my neighbor got shot, or I don't know, whatever the hell. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, everyone responds to things that happens in their personal life. Everyone is vulnerable to personal experiences affecting their ideology. But what I think when you come out here and do this flamboyant rebrand and make a big deal of leaving the side that you identified with less than like freaking 3 years ago or 2 years ago as a grown adult, I do think it becomes a little bit suspicious, especially if you pair that with the fact that Ana Kasparian constantly whines about not making enough money. She constantly voices her jealousy over people like Hassan Piker, who do make a lot of money, and people like Dave Rubin, who left TYT to make a lot more money. So I can't, deny that either. I can't, she's telegraphing something obvious. She wants to make more money. Where do you make more money? It's not by doubling down on being a leftist. It's by going to Fox News.
So you legitimately believe that she's secretly a leftist, but is now just going for money? Because I believe that she has had a genuine and stupid political evolution, and now is doing what anyone does on YouTube, is like finding the way to spread their particular belief in politics in a way that makes them sustainable on the internet, right? Like, because like if you guys are arguing that she's secretly still a leftist, but is like doing the right wing thing, that to me would be grifting. But I think it's actually deeper. I think she's had a deep, earnest, and stupid evolution, and now is like, how do I make money on the internet doing this that I actually believe in? That's my point.
I think she never has had the conviction to be taken seriously as a political commentator. I think that she is performing. I think that she is kind of just saying whatever she thinks is going to elicit a response she's after. And I think that is where the grift comes in. You can't come out here and declare yourself a person of political conviction and then turn right around on a dime and be like, oh, JK, everyone. Oh, LOL, sorry. And not have a very good explanation for it, right? And she tries to blame. We've highlighted this, very clearly on the show. She tries to blame a traumatic experience where she was a victim of sexual assault in public, in which case I'm horribly sorry that happened to her.
Why did you do that, Zach?
We can follow her evolution as a right winger from way before then, right? It begins before then. So what you are seeing is somebody who has lied, somebody who has misled their audience into believing that they are a progressive. They are a wolf in sheep's clothing. What I do not like about the post-left that we are being inundated with right now is that they make people who aren't probably as politically sophisticated, right? People who don't have the time to really understand the nuance of every issue. And they say, oh, I know I'm getting good information from a progressive commentator that has been about this shit for a long time. And then very perniciously, they misuse that trust. They say, oh, you should be hysterical about crime. Oh, these kids that are robbing 7-Eleven, that's a fucking, oh my gosh, this is terrorism. Oh my gosh, they're letting, trans kids play field hockey. You know what I mean? That's the kind of hysterical shit that they're pushing now, and they're doing it under the veneer of progressivism, which makes people much less, scrutinize it much less than they would if they knew they were getting some propaganda from Fox News or a right-wing outlet. That's where the grift is.
Yeah. Also, bro, like, I mean, if you don't think Ana's a grifter, like, do not, and I'm sorry, this guy called you an idiot, but like, who do you
please.
think?
Well, hold on. He could be referring to any of us here. He could be referring to any of us. So, I mean, so with Dave Rubin, the thing about when people say grifting that I always, from an actor's perspective, take a little bit of umbrage with. I don't think these people are good enough actors to have a secret set of beliefs in one sense, and then go in front of a camera every day.
It's beliefs. It's not secret beliefs. It's no beliefs, and then pretending they have those beliefs. That's the grift.
So there's grifts I see right now online. Some things that I will say are grifts are like when people are like putting out like these like fake trash polls that show Trump winning or something like that. Like that's like a clear grift where they know they can get like engagement or clout. But for like a lot of people on camera, I fundamentally don't believe they're that good of actors to have a secret additional set of beliefs. Maybe someone like Dave Rubin like goes after like stupid things that like if he was really questioned on them, like he knew isn't true. But I don't necessarily feel that way about Anna personally.
Yeah, I also think that Lynn Stacks is completely correct when she says your brain doesn't let you do that for too long. You start believing it. People subconsciously convince themselves of a lot of things as soon as the money starts flowing. They might get a taste of the financial reward at first and they're uncomfortable with it for a little bit, but you want to, you start kind of going down that road. We've seen it over and over and over again with people like Jimmy Dore, for example, who start off by, oh, I'm not a Trump supporter. What are you talking about? No, what are you talking? And then all of a sudden here he is, absolutely a straight up Trump supporter. In the same way, I think she's probably in the middle of a bit of a transition like that, where she probably does still have an internal debate about these issues. And I'm not saying that she doesn't believe anything she says. I don't think that she's just a complete, phantom who's only regurgitating what she thinks will get her attention. If you watch TYT, obviously you'll still see glimpses of the old school Ana Kasparian who makes good points and stuff like that. But if you really look at the sort of new brand that I think she's projecting and telegraphing, like, this is what I want to be known as. These are the kind of podcasts I'm going to go on. I'm not going to go on any left-wing shows. I'm not going to have on any left-wing critics to debate this. I'm only going to go into the warm, wet snatch of the right, as Zach likes to say. I'm only going to
the
go
dry, dusty crease.
Right, but it's like, I think that's a big
thing.
Part of
Jill
it.
Biden. This is that Melania. No.
It is interesting though, and I think what you're raising really is just kind of a semantic debate about the term.
Yeah,
grifter. It's an overused term. I think a lot of people, myself included, can agree with that, even though we probably contribute to it being an overused term. I do think it's kind of lost some meaning, and it just sort of refers to it doesn't necessarily only refer to one specific kind of person, but I think Anna still fits the bill, even if you want to say that she genuinely believes some of the things she says.
For sure, which is why we got to break down this new Substack article, this hot Substack article. And someone in the chat said something about me being naive. Hey, who's in a 3-camera studio right now? I'm at the heart of this shit, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
I've got emails. Bernie Sanders' email list ain't got shit on my email list. Watch out.
1 second before we move on to the Substack article, I had to quickly point out too, what is going on with their thumbnails, man? I feel like if you had a 6 million subscriber channel, you really can't find anyone better to do your thumbnails. These are so low effort. They're so ugly. And it's just like, I don't know if this is actually contributing to their decline in viewership, but as a thumbnail artist myself, as a graphic designer, I recoil when I'm confronted with one of these.
Not enough AI? There's only one right here at top left, but it's about AI images.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, they're doing faces. Faces are good.
I don't know, man. These are
got some Chank faces here.
Sometimes the photos aren't even in focus though.
Yeah.
It's because Chank is hard to capture on camera. He's moving so fast.
Yeah.
It's a hard focal length.
Yeah. I did want to take a second. This is a paywalled article, and respect the sovereignty of Anna's fine work. We're only going to read the teaser to you guys. You guys can, do your own investigating, pay for that paywall if you'd like. But let's go ahead.
Oh my God.
Talk about the real grifters. Everyone.
Oh shit. I had no idea this was the headline after we just debated this. Guys, let's find out. Here's the real answer. Holy shit. What a reveal.
Well, let's talk about the real grifters. Is it Anna? Is it the Vanguard? Absolutely not. It's the people of California who run homeless shelters. Progressive branded nonprofits have repeatedly misused public funds. Why won't the left call them out? Voters in Los Angeles County will decide in November whether to increase their taxes again. So nonprofits tasked with sheltering the homeless can keep the gravy train rolling. Yeah, the gravy train. Everybody gets into, fighting off homelessness because of the quick riches, It's like getting in media. Of course, that's not how Measure A is being pitched to the public. Instead, the private nonprofits pushing the ballot initiative are alleging the plan is to raise another $1 billion through a regressive sales tax increase to build homeless shelters, housing, and other services. I'll be voting no. So
that's like 1 month of to the LAPD. Like, fuck off. Like, that's chump change. I'm sorry.
Yeah. in the second largest county in America, okay, Los Angeles County by population, they're going to increase the funding by $1 billion. Ana Kasparian says no because she wants to be able to whine and fearmonger about the homeless for the next decade and a half. She wants to talk about how, oh my gosh, Los Angeles is so fucking disgusting and scary. I wish Rick Caruso were mayor instead of Karen Bass.
Wait, so she wants to keep a homeless quota of a certain amount so she can keep complaining? That's really funny.
The NIMBYs have to have it. She says, I don't believe the money will be used appropriately and with good reason. A recent state audit found that in just 5 years, $24 billion in taxpayer money was squandered on programs that failed to adequately address the homeless crisis. Let's take a look here. Audit finds California spent $24 billion on homelessness in 5 years. Didn't consistently track outcomes. Oh, that's an interesting study. Hey, Griffin, you're from California. How expensive is the rent out there?
It's free. It's cheap. We're groovy, baby. You catch a wave. Catch a sea turtle all the way over. Yeah, I mean, like... Yeah, they haven't really seemed to figure out like how to spend all the money the right way. Like a lot of times, like the LA City will do stupid things like, as opposed to like letting them be in like a hotel, they'll like pay hotel prices for like a parking lot somewhere for them to just like still be like outside because they don't want people to be inside. And there's definitely like a lot of problems, but I don't think the solution is just no money. Like, I don't think the solution is do nothing. I think like we could keep working on stuff and keep funding the shelters in the meantime. Like, I don't know how no shelters fixes seeing, like, you're probably going to see more homeless people if we don't fund the shelters. So I don't, maybe you're right, Zach. She wants a certain amount on the street.
Well, the thing is, if you wanted to, from a leftist perspective, unpack why we are not seeing the success we would like to from these homeless shelters, right? How can we improve homeless shelters? How can we make sure that once people are, helped find shelter, right, that it's not so criminalizing to them, that it's not so suffocating for them, right? Let's talk about some of the reasons why folks would choose to be on the streets in California as opposed to in one of those hotels or camps, right? I'll give you a couple of quick examples. I've talked to some folks in Kansas City who are unhoused who have talked about how they don't really like the hotel model because you're far away from where you can get food. You don't know if you're going to be near a community. You're trapped in a hotel room basically all day. A lot of times they tell you can't leave and come back outside of specific hours. So you're basically in house arrest. Okay, when you're homeless,
or you can't have animals, and sometimes like your dog is like your dog or your cat is literally the only person in the world that like loves you and cares about you, and like you have to get rid of them. So yeah, that shit is bullshit too. But like those things are just like rules that need to be fixed. Like the hotel, like putting people inside is still good, and the hotel thing largely works, especially now that fucking all these skyscrapers are empty. We just need to fucking take over all the fucking WeWorks across the country.
Also, I just feel like this issue, specifically in California, obviously a lot of unhoused people go to California because it's warm there year round. They don't want to live in New York City during the fucking winter. Obviously, if you don't have a shelter, for obvious reasons, you're going to want to be somewhere that it's warm outside. So California is saddled with a bigger issue in this regard than other states. It's one of the biggest states in the country as well. And I really honestly think that it's one of these issues that until you actually deal with like serious reforms in the regard of rent control and the cost of living, you could I mean, it's nothing's truly going to fix the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just give all this money to homeless shelters and hope that you can continually, like, it's ever going to truly fix the problem. You know what I'm saying? So for Ana Kasparian to act like, oh, well, why we give all this money to these homeless shelters, how come there's still homelessness? Yeah, that's not the fix. It's like a Band-Aid at most on the solution, on the problem, the real solution to which is much more difficult to achieve. So yeah, it is a problem that, this much resources are going towards these kind of things instead of the actual solutions like rent control, like actually forcing landlords to stop raising rent on everyone and forcing out people, displacing people that have lived their entire lives oftentimes. That's the real issue. But you also can't blame the homeless shelters for trying to provide a Band-Aid, for trying to provide some sort of solution for the people in the interim, because obviously they don't have any control over the rent.
Yeah, I mean, Anna needs to start doing photo shoots with Gavin Newsom where they're just fucking taking down tents. You know, I'd like to see him and her posing on a carpet in the near future. And then, you know, if that doesn't work out, Anna, if LA doesn't shake out, just move to Austin. Go to Austin. There's no homeless people there.
Yeah, the police just round them all up and shoot them in the head. No, I'm kidding. That's what that's what they do in El Paso. No,
I am. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. Before we move on, I did want to ask you, Griffin. You know, I'm not on Substack a lot, and I guess you, Zach, too. I think you probably spend more time on Substack than I do. It does seem like, you know, Anna, obviously she's launched her new Substack. It seems like this is going to be the home of most of her new, more right-wing or right-wing coded takes. Again, she doesn't have to respond to any critics. She doesn't have to deal with any pushback from like John Iadarola or Francesca or one of the other co-hosts on TYT. She can kind of just post in this echo chamber without much consequence. And I'm interested, you know, do you guys think she's going to grow the Substack? Because right now I think she's at 3,000 subscribers. It's not very impressive given how big of a name Ana Kasparian is, you know, given how much publicity she's generated based on this transition politically. You'd think it would result in a bit more than just 3,000 subscribers, but obviously it's still a pretty new page, could grow. And I think it's very clear that she's going for this exact demographic, the blocked and reported Substack by Jesse Single. They're not straight up MAGA, you know, they're not like straight up right wingers.
They're heterodox thinkers.
Exactly.
Enlightened centrists, Gavin.
And they have, you know, 58,000 subscribers. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm not sure. Oh, here we go. Yeah. The blocked and reported Substack has 58,000 subscribers. I have to imagine that's generating a pretty decent income for the hosts, Katie and Jesse. I think that Anna, you know,
she's got to do something big. She's got to do something big. If I was in her corner, if I was her manager right now, I'd say, let's get you with the Nelk boys. Let's get you with the pedo guys on Rumble. Let's get you hunting some pedophiles for some Rumble coins. That's I think that would be fun. I think there's a whole buffet of options for her now. I think her future.
Substack? Do you like Substack? Do you think there's good content being created there? Because I felt like it had a lot of potential for a while, but it did kind of get taken over by the Barry Weisses and the Jesse Singles and all these kind of cringe, like elitist, enlightened, centrist liberals or right wingers. You know what I'm saying?
I think almost anyone that writes is evil, except for like a few people. Like I think almost everyone should be lock them up, send them away. Put them all New York Times, red triangle on the New York Times building. But then you'll get a great Ryan Grimm writing a Substack or like a Ken Klippenstein. So it's like, like most platforms, most creators are bad, I think is how I feel about it. I mean, I think the idea of Substack is still pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true. There are some good Substackers. Good shout out to Kenny Klippenstein and Ryan Grimm.
Kung Fu Kenny Clips, a true poster back from the dead.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't even read the reports. He just shoots them off. Doesn't redact a damn thing.
You know, just to conclude our segment on the Young Turks, I do think it's undeniable from a business perspective, at least, that the show is in a bit of a crisis right now. It seems like from a branding perspective, they don't really know which team they're on anymore. It doesn't really seem like there's a clear or cohesive message that is guiding the show. And, you know, it's kind of interesting because I don't think that, I wish there didn't have to be, you know, it seems bullshit, right? That to succeed on YouTube, you have to be like, this is our mission and you're with us or against us. And every video is going to contribute to this larger kind of, call or theme or whatever, right? But that is what oftentimes will make a YouTube show really successful. It in its heyday, it's what made TYT successful. People felt like, oh yeah, I know what I'm getting. These people are, they have a cohesive message. They have an ideology that makes sense. Now it just kind of seems all over the place. It kind of seems like they want to get views from the right and the left, but not in like a breaking point style way where it's structured to have a left winger and a right winger. No, it just kind of seems like Anna and Jank are lost. Like they're not really sure of what their ideologies are. They're not really sure of which team to commit to, and it's just bizarre. It's not really. Christian says it's nuance is not marketable, and again, it's like that sounds unfortunate. Nuance is good. We all like nuance, but I think that there is a way to have nuance that's a little bit more confident. This nuance just feels like throwing shit at the wall.
My final thought on that, and then I'm curious to see what Zach says, is like, I think their politics have shifted a little bit, but in my opinion, like liberals are not leftists, and they've always been liberals. Liberals like hate homeless people. Liberals like pretend to be nice and have a lot of like center-right politics.
Totally
and like
excuses their political branding for the last 8 years, bro. They call themselves the home of progressives, not the home of liberals.
Right, exactly. But I've always viewed them as liberals.
Well, that's just because you're smart enough to see through their bullshit.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm just talking. I'm not reading the YouTube banner. It's just my perception of them since the beginning, and like pretty much like a lot of people could get behind Bernie, but yeah, like liberals, like people I know, like a lot of my friends in LA that are just liberal but kind of apolitical, don't know a lot. Like they like didn't like when like the homeless were in the parks, and they were happy the homeless got swept out of the parks. Like these are like fundamental like liberal and like core like American things. I just think they need to like either figure out how to channel their liberalism. Like, are they the nice, soft talking liberals, or are they like this new type of vicious, like rad lib that's going to go out and fight?
Yeah, I just think the problem with that, Griffin, is that, yeah, it is a liberal position to hold all the positions that they have, and they do not market themselves as liberals. They market themselves as progressives, and then it validates all of these, unsavory positions. You're right. It is true that if you're hanging out with some, guys in boat shoes and, Vineyard Vines t-shirts, that they're probably going to get uncomfy if they see a couple of homeless people hanging around at the park with you. Oh my God, is that a black guy? Oh no, is that a do-rag? Oh no, right? But most people know, hey, that's not cool, right? What is not acceptable to me is to have the veneer of I am a progressive and I'm going to validate the Vineyard Vine boat shoot wearers racism, anti-homeless, sentiment, right? I'm going to validate it and I'm going to excuse it because I'm a progressive with a large platform, and I'm telling you it's okay, it's morally right, it's justified to feel that way because your safety and your, not feeling uncomfortable is more important than this person's survival when they don't have fuck else to go. You know what I mean? That's what I think is so wrong about this. It gives people an excuse to allow themselves to feel okay with their worst instincts. Oh, if this progressive outlet is okay with bashing on trans kids and saying that trans kids don't belong in sports. Oh, okay. If this progressive outlet is okay bashing on homeless people, the most vulnerable people in all of our society, if they're okay with that, who's to stop us from bashing on the people of Springfield, Ohio? Who's to stop us bashing on the immigrants that desperately come here looking for work? Who's to stop us bashing on everybody, right? So you give people this little bit of leeway from a progressive, somebody who has a huge history of standing up for progressive values, and then they say it's okay to be hateful, it's okay to be prejudiced, it's okay to discriminate against these people who are far less fortunate than us and blame them for whatever problems we have with our society because we have been too incompetent, too inept as a collective community to resolve it. Unacceptable to me.
I hear you, and that's why, and I don't want to get into a lot more semantics. I do want to talk about Asmongold, but that I guess is why I sort of sometimes bristle, or I've even mentioned around you guys sometimes I say the progressives, because like the term for me is like it's like a modifier. It's like, oh, I'm like the nice version of like whatever I want to be. Like people like Destiny call themselves progressives. Like all sorts of people like to put like progressive like on their politics.
And it's to excuse their fucking genocidal hatred, right?
Right. So for me, that's why progressive channel or whatever TIT was never like a trick for me. It's always been sort of like a meaningless like modifier to be like, my politics are like the good ones. They're the progressive ones. Like that's just how I feel about it.
I hear you.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's funny. We were just having a discussion with Matt McManus about political labels, liberals versus leftists versus socialists versus communists. It's all a slop, frankly. And to your average person, it probably means a lot less than it does to us. Like, we were talking about how to your average person, that some people, they just think of liberal, conservative, left, right. There's no
Yeah.
They don't even understand the difference between a liberal and a leftist. They just think, what do you mean? A liberal is like a left-wing version of a conservative. There's a liberal, there's a conservative, there's a left-winger, there's a right-winger. You know what I'm saying? There's a Democrat, there's a Republican. So yeah, it's definitely interesting from a branding perspective, but we do appreciate your insights, Griffin, into the subject matter. As I said, we've been covering this for a long time. And I do think you brought some interesting kind of ideas to the table as far.
Yeah, and I identify as a founding member of the Daddy Gang. That's what I identify as politically. And me and the Call Her Daddy audience are sort of our own thing.
Yeah, we gotta start reacting to some of that pod. I've never seen a
It's
single
not.
episode.
It's not something. No.
How is it so big then? If it's not worth reacting to, then what the fuck is the appeal?
Because they're not like conversations that are like, oh wow, like they're talking about that. It's like women. It's like for women. Like women love to talk about, like, it's like specifically for women. It's like I'm at the true crime audience. There's a huge crossover there. You know, it's like, what are we gonna react to? Like the freaking.
I don't know. I mean, there's stuff on Joe Rogan to react to.
Freaking
And
boys.
People said it was the Joe Rogan of women or whatever.
I would like to think there are as many conspiracy theories on Call Her Daddy. Like she's like, all right, I've got Kim Kardashian here, and we're talking about flat Earth. maybe we'd have to call her. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, let's I guess answer a couple super chats real quick.
Yeah.
Shout out to you winners and losers. I did want to say shout out to you. Thanks, bros. My film, Tell the Truth, Jank, details TYT's union situation and the lie Jank and Anna spread. 80 minutes already up, but need support to finish it. Yeah, I actually genuinely would recommend people check this out. I'm not just plugging it because Hank is a friend of ours and someone who sends us super chats every once in a while. I actually have watched Hank's documentary. He used to work at TYT, and it's not only excellently produced, it's really well edited. As someone who edits myself, I was like genuinely impressed by how much work was put into this piece. But it's also a damning expose of the utter lack of genuine progressivism when it comes to the TYT workplace. And you will, it'll really change the way you look at Cenk Uygur specifically. So I do recommend that you guys check that out if you really want to see how his policies as a boss impacted his employees, specifically Hank, who made this film. Everyone check that one out. We're going to have Hank on again at some point to talk more about his experiences working at TYT. But yeah, guys, you want to talk a little bit about Asmongold or whatever the hell?
Yeah,
let's get stinky.
Funny. You guys might remember the schoolyard adage, the little ribbing. Oh, if you looked up X in the dictionary, you would find so and so there. And I have recently become exposed and aware of this Asmongold guy, but I'm pretty sure if you look up involuntary celibate in the dictionary, it would just have this man's mean old nasty mug right there. Honestly, a disgusting looking guy if ever I've seen one.
He's volcel. He's not incel.
I don't
He's
think
voluntary.
That guy's ever been within 100 miles of a dentistry or anywhere where they supply hygienic equipment of any kind.
Yeah, no, Israel has blocked all toothpaste from getting into Asmongold's house. They've blockaded it. Yeah, really gross guy. Do we want to get right into the clip, or do we need some lead up for you guys? I mean, Zach's always like, I'm the old one on the podcast, but I somehow have all the cultural references, and you don't have no shit about the internet or its biggest content creators. Okay,
that's because I'm out partying, having Riz. You know
That's
what I mean? I have to
true.
go
Yeah,
out and
having sex.
have all of these hyper,
You're rizzing your girlfriend.
experiences, you know what I mean? Hey.
Yo, I just got done rizzing my GF. But Asmongold, went super viral like 2 hours ago. It just took off because he did this clip, which I think we're about to queue up here.
Does he usually talk about politics?
So I'd like to break that down a little bit because and I think I'll do it more after the clip, but what I will say, the story of Asmongold and the story of him talking more about politics is sort of the story of YouTube and like how how people have evolved on YouTube to sort of get the most clicks and get the most views. And I think Asmongold and sort of being thrust into talking about politics is like a perfect example with this clip today from him talking about Israel and Palestine.
Gotcha. Yeah, let's take a quick look at his YouTube channel before we take a look at this clip. I watched some of his content earlier today in preparation for today's show, and I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm not I was not impressed. I was not impressed. I'm not really sure what the
Yeah.
is. Like I get that he made some relatable points or whatever, but I just didn't find that it was delivered in all that compelling of a fashion. Do you maybe have some insight into this man's incredible and extraordinary popularity?
So he's massive. He is old school World of Warcraft, like me. I actually at one point was even on the same server in a guild with Asmon Gold way back in the day. But this was after he was already streamer famous, so it was kind of like a streamer guild. Like, yes, give me the applause. That's right. I know the worst people in the world.
Brotherhood of the Blade.
If there's someone that you think is a piece of shit, I probably have their cell phone number. But this guy was a World of Warcraft guy, and he just did World of Warcraft only forever. And he actually had great insights on the game, because he really loved the game.
How to maximize your increase in gold in World of Warcraft.
Well, yes, it started there, but then it was like larger things about game design, and he actually became like one of the biggest voices and really blew up during 2019 and then the pandemic, when a lot of Twitch streaming really kind of coalesced and became a giant new like monoculture thing on the internet in the pandemic. But then kind of what happened with Asmongold is, if you want to keep growing on YouTube, it actually isn't about playing video games. It's about watching YouTube videos and reacting to them. And as the react culture grew on YouTube, Asmongold saw that lane and went for it. So Asmongold went from telling you how to make gold to talking about women's issues or why you shouldn't tip on checks at restaurants, or basically any like spicy social issue. There we go. Asmongold viewer. And so just through the act of wanting to grow bigger on YouTube and like wanting to grab the React train, he like has now thrust himself into political situations like the one we're about to watch.
Ooh, okay, well that's really interesting because I wasn't aware if he dabbled much in political commentary, and obviously everyone has opinions on politics. I mean, we all live in this country, we're all entitled to have an opinion. Do you want Kamala to win? Do you want Trump to win? Who cares? You're allowed to have those opinions, but I do think it makes a little bit more sense, Griffin, the context, as far as the context goes with this clip that we're about to watch, that this is not someone who knows a lot. This is not someone who
this is the dumbest, dirtiest guy you know. Filthy person.
Exactly. And again, not to justify what we're about to watch, it's despicable, but I think that does make it a little bit more understandable. I hope, maybe.
Let's relate to him.
Yeah, let's take a look here. And actually, friend of the show, Kyle Kalinske of Secular Talk, decided to post someone that, in my opinion, not in my opinion, but in my from what I know, has never engaged with Asmongold. I don't think that Kyle has really talked about his content or really taken note of it in any meaningful way. But here he is, not only posting this, but actually tagging Asmongold himself, potentially putting up some sort of a clash, a debate. Who knows? If
Asmongold, will you go on KKF?
Let's hope. But either way, Kyle says the depths of casual repulsive depravity here is shocking to me. Let's not spoil, though, exactly the contents of this clip. Should we take a look, boys?
Let's watch.
If you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. It's not even a question. It's crazy that people don't see it that way. They'd be doing the same thing.
Yeah, take a sip. Take a big old sip.
This dude's drinking from a 32-ounce styrofoam cup.
How much did they kill? As many as they can.
Jesus.
They're not able to kill as many people as Israel because they don't have as many bombs and as many weapons. But if they did, they'd be doing the same thing. That's it. Just takes enough. That's right. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways.
This is just
It
straight
is
up
that simple.
Hitlerian rhetoric.
No, I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel sorry for them. I don't care. I don't support them.
Yeah, at least Hitler took a fucking bath. Jesus Christ. That's wow. Yeah. That's Asmongold. That's the general breakdown.
This is what
and
happens to a society when you elevate somebody who got famous playing World of Warcraft in their mom's basement for 12 hours a day, just shitting in a diaper, a Depend adult undergarment every single day, pissing in 2 liters of Mountain Dew, not brushing their teeth, not going outside, and you elevate this person as some sort of a god so that 11 and 12-year-olds tune into him and let him inform them about the world. This guy who I guarantee you does not have a single person his own age that he can relate to. I doubt he ever leaves his home. And it's crazy too, because that guy is unfathomably culturally impactful in a way that none of us even ever considered up until this point. I saw a viral tweet maybe 6 weeks ago that was highlighting how disgusting Asmongold was, and it was like everything I've learned about Asmongold was against my will because of Twitter Blue now promoting him to the world, right? So you have this guy who is not culturally insignificant, but has absolutely none of the tools that you would typically rely on to get to that place. So he can just say this Kanye West shit. He can just come out here and say this most like hysterical, deranged drivel because he's not going to get the kind of cultural backlash that a regular, famous person would get. Like even Kanye West had his whole shit fucked up when he came out and was doing the Tim Pool circuit. He got dropped from Levi's when he was going to have that. He's no longer with Adidas. His accounting firm dropped him. All these kinds of things. When you're just a weird guy known as Asmongold, that's not what it says on your birth certificate. He wasn't shout out and named Asmongold. He has a social security card. He's not ever going to be properly, canceled for that. So why wouldn't he just go out here and say the most deranged fucking
someone in chat says he's apparently currently debating Hassan, if we can pull that up. I don't know if that technology is possible, but it seems like it's going off right now as we speak. Drama alert, ring the bell, folks. All you sloppies, come to the trough.
It must only be on Twitch. Let me look.
Yeah, it's on Twitch. I mean, like, I before getting into the larger story, just focusing on some of the statements here, like the inferior race thing. It's like, so you're the superior race that has like the skin of like a fresh zombie. Like you're it's like you are not. What all these guys are really representing white people poorly. We need to have, if they're gonna represent white people, can we get some moisturizer in there? Can we get some flossing or something? Because I just don't think it's helping us whites that much that he's the representative.
Also, the weird thing, and it's kind of stupid to even like try to engage on the merits of these arguments when we're just talking about straight up like racist Nazi drivel. But I still do think it's worth discussing. Like, I feel like sometimes when people say different cultures, they don't realize that like, yes, but we're all human beings. Like different cultures is not the same thing as like different species. You know what I mean? Different, even if you don't like another culture as much or don't identify with it or relate to it nearly as much as you do others, that doesn't mean that those people in those other cultures are somehow like responsible for everything that their government stands for or Sharia law or whatever. If anything, they're also victims of those circumstances. If you're someone growing up in a country that has Sharia law, I mean, you're a victim of that. It's not your fault that you were born under Sharia law. It's not your fault that you can be punished for homosexuality or whatever. You're just a human being that happened to be born somewhere in a different part of the world that had a different set of rules than where fucking Asmongold was born.
And
so again, I know this
was all covered in the World of Warcraft expansion, Warlords of Draenor. It was with the Blood Orcs and going back in time to Draenor. So he needs to reconsult
better than anyone.
He had the founding principles. He needs to reconsult his text. It's all in there. Blizzard laid it out for him. But I do think this is like a larger sense because I have watched
its way. So did Asmongold.
Yeah, that's right. Check out Warlords of Draenor, guys. On a slept on expansion. But with these YouTuber guys and like this React culture, you take someone like Asmongold that knows nothing but has to have an opinion on everything they're reacting to. And so someone who has no real politics, but is kind of like a leaning right, grew up in Texas, is very socially isolated, and just has to kind of commit to points, has slowly kind of garnered him into kind of resurrecting the Gamergate culture in terms of what I would describe his audience as. It's kind of like the modern Gamergate culture. Like every time there's like a new female protagonist in a video game, or there's the danger that there's a trans character.
Big enough.
I swear to God,
when do that?
there is going to be they still do that. Don't worry, but there's a lot of and of course there's always like the sort of apocalypse on the horizon when Grand Theft Auto 6 adds a trans character. That is when the internet will actually
Has that happened?
No, Grand Theft Auto 6, I do think there will be a trans character, and I do think it will end the internet.
A main character, like one of the
no, it will be a side character.
The main character is a woman this time, though, and people were already pissed about that.
The main character is a brother and a sister. So fact check. We do fact check on this show.
I'm sorry. What does a sister mean, Griffin?
So for me, it's like, yeah, he probably has some sort of general like nasty beliefs, but I think that when you have to kind of commit to the react culture, to reacting to every video, and to not really having any core politics, you will just go down these kind of little ridoid wormholes and just kind of have dumb, not nuanced, totally basically no information takes on stuff that turns you into like a real nasty person.
Yeah, definitely some of the low effort analysis. Like he didn't even really try to justify. A lot of times you'll hear people go into the classic like, oh, Israel's the only democracy in the Middle East, so therefore we have to protect them because they're a bastion of human rights. Like they'll try to intellectualize their racism and talk about, why actually liberal values are alive and well in Israel, and that's why it's important to support it. They'll try to go down this rabbit hole. This guy is just like, white people based, brown people cringe.
It's very George W. Bush era, like in terms of like that's the last time he was forced to think about Muslims, and so he just is like copy pasting that. Like it really seems like it does seem, not to defend him, but it just seems more low IQ than like he has like a lot of like race theories or anything. Like
that's
I don't think
saying. Yeah,
he does.
It's not like he's even coming at this from a like I've really thought it out that much. It's more just like a knee jerk, like this is probably what people want me to say about this, so I'm going to say it. And that makes it even more disgusting, frankly, the fact that he's so cowardly in that sense, that he's just willing to say that kind of shit when, people are literally being burned alive in Gaza. Like this is not some, hypothetical discussion about race IQ or something. Like, no, people are literally fucking burning alive as we speak, thanks to our government and thanks to the government of Israel. And this is all you have to say. I mean, it's reprehensible.
Yeah, it's stinky and gross. Do we have the pictures of his sink? Do we have the pictures of his room?
Oh. Yeah, we've got it somewhere. Let me look it up. It comes up as soon as you look up Asmon Gold.
And if we don't have the Twitch stream, I guess you guys can just react to that tomorrow after that debacle goes down live. But yeah, this is Asmon Gold's. Let's start with the left picture here. Let's enhance the left picture.
Oh yeah, what a studio vibe.
This is his room. This is his Diet Coke army here on the right. I mean, you mentioned Kanye West earlier, Zach, and there is mental illness happening here. There is severe.
Gold?
Yes, there is something mentally ill happening here. He's growing. I mean, his room looks like Resident Evil Biohazard. If anyone's played that game, that right there is a cockroach that was crawling on him on stream.
Are these recent, or is this just like?
Yeah, these are recent. Yeah,
he posted them himself.
He has done like house tours where he showed off his gross house. I mean, he's socially isolated, and he was living, his mom did live with him and then unfortunately died in a very tragic way. She was kind of like going in and out of the hospital, and then there was like a major medical tragedy where I don't even know how to put this the right way. I think she exploded. She died in this really tragic way where she exploded. I'm sorry, it's not funny, but I'm laughing.
What do you mean exploded? Like what is the medical nomenclature for this illness that you're describing? You're like, You know, have you ever seen Harry Potter 3? You know, when the ant, you know, really triggers the man and the
It's not-
and the little boy who lived and is that what happened?
Chat, you can't. This is not funny. No one in chat should laugh at that. But she did tragically, really sadly pass away, and I think he is suffering. But yeah, it doesn't mean you can go
Just like
online
Kanye.
and yeah, exactly. He's doing a
his
Jewish
mom.
doctor thing. Yeah, it's really if you lose your mom in a tragic way, it's not good.
Become a Nazi.
So everyone, love your moms, love your family members, and just try to be a positive person. But I do think that Twitch.
People are saying that he tried to get his mom taxidermied. Is that
Okay, well, all right, we gotta move off the mom. I mean, he's like, that's why the room is decaying.
Asmongold was on his Norman Bates fucking arc. Oh my god, this is crazy. I'm reading the lore. You can't teach something like that on the Vanguard podcast and not deliver. I'm not going to be able to fucking think straight until I find out more about this woman.
It's the scene from Psycho in the shower, but Asmongold can't go near the shower, so she just lives. He's like, oh wait, the water's running. I gotta go. But folks, I'll let you figure out the rest of that lore
it's crazy
on your
actually.
own.
Do you know who did reply immediately and send his thoughts and prayers after Asmongold lost his beloved mom? He got a nice shout out from the Vauschmeister.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So
no, yeah, exactly. Like I said, not a laughing matter. Anyone in the chat that laughed or said I should clean up what I said, that's fucked up on you. But yeah, I mean,
where did you find out this though? I'm reading a lot of Twitter right now, and I'm not getting any specifics about exploding mom.
I am young and cultured, and I know what's going on with everyone. I know that Aiden Roth sniffed that chair. I know everything. But I do think, going back to sort of the controversy, I do think that, and depending on what he says on this Hassan stream, Asmongold is getting very close to getting banned from Twitch.
Oh, really?
I
Over
think that,
this?
yeah, Twitch is a lot more censorious than YouTube. They have kicked people like
Jeff Bezos.
I mean, people like Vaush and Destiny got kicked off for not even the craziest things they've said, for arguing about trans issues. And I think
cracker, right? Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, but it was mainly the trans issue. I think with both of them, that there was certain people on the Twitch community board that were really insistent on that issue. I don't think that same thing is happening with. I don't think there's like a large Muslim or Arab part of the Twitch community board right now, and Asmongold is one of their biggest streamers, so they are starting to be a more gun shy about bans. But depending on what he says on the Hassan stream right now, I think I do think he's getting pretty close. He still will have a career on YouTube. His YouTube's huge. Oh yeah, what do we got? Are they still talking right here?
Because like obviously like a lot of people are upset about it
because it's right thing because conservatism can change. People can change their
I can hear it.
Change their attitudes.
You can?
Yeah, weird.
Oh, what the hell? I can't either.
Hold on.
Oh, he's so sexy.
They're like the way that they're analyzed by the in-group.
Chat, who's gooning right now?
Power, if they're being analyzed as like an intractable, inalienable group of like a force almost that is like completely monolithic. Yes, if you were to say that the conservatism demonstrated by certain groups is inferior to I don't know, like broader. It's not even that their conservatism is different. It's just conservatism adjusted to their material conditions as well.
I feel like you kind of have the same viewpoint on this that I do, though. It's just that, like, your vocabulary is different.
No,
I
because
think that
No.
of course not. Because to me, it's not like the cultural differences.
No.
I like to say that there's a universality to hogs. I call conservatives hogs all the time. I do hog watch, whatever, right? And
I've seen it.
And the reason why I don't have an issue saying that, even though many people get very upset at me when I say things like that, is because conservatism or liberalism, okay, is just simply a way of understanding the world. Reactionary approaches to understanding the world is simply a way that you look at the regular stimuli that you experience on a daily basis, and your analysis can change. Your analysis can very easily change and you can be an entirely different person. There's a shit ton of people that are in my community that used to be right wing on one issue or many other issues that have over time understood and demonstrated
It's
empathy
kind of boring.
and have changed their mind.
Yeah,
on these
he's
issues
he's
and
too
no
hot.
longer
I
consider
get lost in his
themselves to be
eyes.
conservative. Whereas
You guys
That's a big part of
engage
the. That's a
in,
big
like,
part of the
cultural
Hassan Piker
inferiority
appeal.
in conversation.
He's a thirst trap.
Let's
like
see
that.
let's see how
There's
Asmon's
an
next response, and then we can pull
quality
out.
that is associated with this like entire group of individuals, and entire group of people, instead of individualizing them as like people that might have a different perspective than you that can change over time, you end up treating them as the other.
Yeah.
And that is what I try to fight against on a regular basis here as well. Like, there are groupings that are appropriate, like, for example, Nazis, people who believe in Nazi ideology or fascist ideology. You can group them just as well as you can group like socialists or any other form of ideology, and you can associate certain aspects of their understanding of the world as like, you can ascribe certain aspects of the way that they analyze the world as good or bad. But when you start
Asmongold's
talking
just
about,
gonna
like,
agree
inferior cultures, that's
and back down.
opportunity for historically, at least,
Yeah, you missed it, Gavin. He was
dehumanization,
like, I think we're pretty
and
much in
also
agreement
it
on this matter.
justifies
And
a lot of
Hassan's like,
things
no, we're
that
not.
people end up experiencing.
But you do
Here-
agree that those viewpoints, though, are worse, right?
What do you mean?
Well, like, for example, being against it's against the law to be gay. Like, this is a worse
Yeah,
viewpoint.
I think it's
Okay.
I think that bigotry
Like, it's a
of that
worse
sort is,
viewpoint.
of course, abhorrent. I do not
Right.
agree with that at all. But I
So
also,
how would you define that?
But
Like,
I also
mean, would you
would
say?
not.
So
I
would you
have.
say
Oh, this
conservatism
guy cares so
is
much about
inferior to
LGBT
liberalism?
rights.
I think conservatism is wrong. That's the way I see it. I do personally consider it to be inferior, but I also have the understanding that, like, the conservatives here in the United States of America are conservative within the boundaries that are permissible to American society. They respond to American material conditions. If the conservative mindset, which can
All right,
change,
Asmon's just gonna
okay,
back
'cause no
down
one
on
is
this whole stream
born
now.
a reactionary, no one's born a
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's
conservative.
really trying to argue. He's just like trying to
Yeah.
backtrack.
It's kind of boring. I don't know.
Yeah, we can pull out.
Pull out.
Pull out game strong.
Yeah, Asmongold's never had to in a day in his life.
I'm sure there'll be a good clip from that later.
Yeah, we'll get the highlight reel tomorrow. Tomorrow, we'll watch it tomorrow. It's only a day away.
But yeah, final thoughts. Reconsult your text. Everyone, download World of Warcraft. It's a great new expansion, and I'm also playing for the gamers out there who've been tuning into this gamer-related clip. Metaphor Refantasio just came out, and it's all about racism and how it's wrong. So check that out.
Help me say that.
Gamers, check it out.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate your insight on Asmongold, Griffin. If this phenomena continues, we'll definitely have to get you back on here to continue tracking this man. And it is funny though how these people. You said he's like basically become a right-wing grifter. So you're a right-wing grifter. You're sympathetic to the Republican Party, but now you're all of a sudden going to turn around and act like you care so much about gay people and LGBT rights. Like, then why the fuck are you a Republican? Why aren't you like a bleeding heart progressive or whatever? Like, if that's your number one issue. And I judge a society by how they treat their LGBTQ members.
He's a log cabin Republican, damn it, just like Lincoln.
Anyway, interesting stuff. But we appreciate your insights and opinions, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to stick around for the super chat segment, Griffin?
Yeah, sure.
Sweet.
I'm gonna get some water.
Veronica H. Song, laughing so that I don't cry. Well, that's the spirit. That's the Vanguard promise. If there ever was one, it would be laugh so that you do not cry.
Absolutely. That's why we do our show, guys, to provide a little bit of levity in trying times. But yeah, appreciate you, Veronica. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, criticisms, or words of praise, feel free to send them in via a super chat. We're going to spend the rest of the show responding to all of you guys.
Absolutely. And shout out to Hysteric Raider. TYT went downhill post Jordan. Jerriton, yeah, I feel like post that entire 2018 pinnacle of like, okay, no, we're going to get the squad in. We're going to get AOC in. We're going to have the Justice Democrats, hitting the ground running. We're going to be doing TYT reports. They really lost sight of things after that. Yeah.
Totally. I was a big fan of Jordan's contributions to the network back in the day. I thought that he provided a real dynamic with the on-the-ground reporting that really strengthened the show and made it more than just a talk show. You know, it was like, oh, we actually have a guy that's out doing stuff. And yeah, obviously Jordan still does great work over at Status Quo, but I totally agree with you, Hysteric Raider.
Yep. Sweet. And Demo Dragon adds context that they tried to offload their TYT merch on Twitter with no luck. Nobody was buying. They had no choice but to set it on fire.
Yeah, if anyone out there still has TYT merch, you know what to do.
Shout out to Jen for becoming a member of our YouTube channel. Jen, we go live here about 5 days a week, and now you are going to get priority in the chat and access to all of our live streams, uncut, unfiltered, and raw.
We need a Circle Jerk America LGBTQ shirt. That'd be sick.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
We need the trans one, the LGBT one, the asexual flag. We need the all the different ones.
Every flag.
Yeah,
All flags but the American flag.
Shout out to you though, Jen. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Really appreciate that. And shout out to you, Afal. Thanks for being a member for 4 months. 1.8K viewers. Surely some can help get to 50,000 subs. That's a great point, Afal. Everyone make sure to subscribe to the channel. Zach and I are getting dangerously close to 50,000 subscribers. So if you want to be one of the people who completes that journey for us, who takes us from 49.6 to 50, hit that subscribe button, guys. We'd really appreciate it.
I think it's going to happen on the 20th. I'm calling it. My YouTube connoisseur.
I think the 17th is when we're going to get it. That's my prediction. I think
right.
the 17th.
Like
I'm going to split the difference. We have a spicy guest that day. I think the people are going to blow a load.
I have a prediction. I think it's going to be tomorrow. After we post these banger clips, some of our best content ever, people are going to say, "Oh, I need more of this shit."
They're going to run, not walk, to subscribe to the Vanguard. Yep. Absolutely. Shout out to Josh Busby, 47. There was a Brian Busby that did the weather where we grew up. I wonder if you guys are familiar with each other. I was done with TYT when Emma Viglin left. Yeah! Emma Viglin, friend of the show.
Shout out to Emma. Thank you so much.
Personal, dear friend of the Vanguard. I hear we're her favorite podcast.
Yeah, shout out to you, Josh. Thanks so much. Emma Vigeland obviously was another great addition to TYT. Someone who's also gone on to, do better things since, in my opinion. But shout out to you, Josh. Really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Really appreciate that. Veronica Song back in. Jank is a manly man. He will never not protect Anna. I guess that's admirable. From that angle. I'll give you that. I'll shout out to you, Veronica. Really appreciate that one. Coming all the way from Tel Aviv, I think, by the looks of that currency symbol.
Just like our whole audience.
Yes, the Israeli left.
Yep, that's our demographic. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out to you, Veronica, though. Really appreciate the $6. And yeah, Jank is a manly man. He will never not protect Anna. I mean, yeah, although I think that's not necessarily in the long term the right strategy, because eventually she's going to take the network down with her. You know what I'm saying? She's going to take the network down with her. She's going to destroy their credibility and their reputation, piss a bunch of people off, and then leave TYT anyway. She's not going to stick around as soon as she gets an actual job offer from Fox News. Why do you think she talks so much about making so much money? Why do you think she talks about, how jealous she is of Hassan Piker? She wants the bag. So yeah, she's going to abandon Jank eventually. Yeah, in my opinion.
I think she wants to abandon Jank, but I don't think she'll ever get the call. I think she's going to wait in the wings forever and wait for Fox News to ring her. But I just don't. I don't know. I don't have enough faith. I don't have quite as much faith in Anna's ability as Gavin.
The bar is low, bro. Remember that guy we watched the other day who roasted us, who got 200,000 views for the worst, most fucking unimpressive commentary you've ever seen? And you said, yeah, this is why. You're right, bro. This is why she's doing it. The bar is so low.
Well, if she wants to start her own YouTube show, I agree.
I mean, love the new thing.
Hand in hand,
yeah,
these days.
The new thing that you guys are doing on the Vanguard channel, where you say, "This guy called us out," and it's like the outline of the guy in the thumbnail. It reminds me of "Who's that Pokemon?" It's Pikachu. Like, I kind of like it.
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's fun. You gotta.
What was that guy's name?
It was a Black Conservative Perspective.
Do you think it helps to not show the person in the thumbnail, like the mystery of it?
If it's not someone that's like if it was fucking, if we got called out by Ben Shapiro, obviously we'd put him in the thumbnail. But I'm like, I don't know if
it'd be funny. The shadow outline shows his yarmulke.
But with Black Conservative Perspective, it's like he has a big ass channel, like a lot of subscribers, but I don't know if like his face would actually get that much recognition. If anyone actually like knows who he is, I think he just has a lot of subscribers because he feeds people what they want to hear, but they don't really care about him. There's a lot of channels like that,
It's the clapping seal demographic. It's people who just want to have a feeding by a mama bird.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's already chewed up. You just have to vomit it right back into their mouths. Anyway, what's up next on the docket? Let's see. Did we already get to this one from winners and losers?
We did. Yeah, I shouted out Hank.
Sweet. Chad Richards with the $6.99. Anna gets more triggered over the existence of homeless folks than the genocide Israel is doing. That says everything about her character. To be fair, Anna does get very outraged about what Israel is doing, and I don't want to be totally disingenuous to Ana Kasparian and misrepresent the one good element of her advocacy. We've made an effort to highlight it on this show. I think that because of her Armenian background, because of her own family's connection to Palestine, and the fact that she's talked about very eloquently and very powerfully the fact that her ancestors were welcomed in and protected by the folks in Palestine, even though they were Christian, and a lot of these other people were, obviously Muslim or potentially Baha'i or other, religions that were non-Christian. People don't talk about how Armenia was one of the first Christian nations, if not the first Christian nation, right? So this is all something that plays into Anna's perspective on this matter, and it's actually really illuminating to see Anna talk so personally and so movingly about an issue that is very important, and then watch her abandon that humanity to, to admonish homeless folks, to fearmonger about people who are the most vulnerable members of our society, to hear her take cheap shots at trans folks, right? Because I know Anna can be a very powerful advocate for the left if she chooses to be. And what outrages me to no end is the fact that more often than not recently, it feels like she's choosing not to be an advocate like that.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with what you said, Zach.
Yeah, I give a lot of, I give like a lot of leeway to people who are good on the issue of Palestine and like forceful on it. I hope that she tries to pull more of that stuff up when she's on these fucking trigonometries and these fucking rightoid places. Cause even if she's shitty on all these issues, if she forces those audiences to hear more about her perspective on like something like Palestine, I think there's some net positive there.
Oh yeah, of course. We're always going to give people credit where credit is due, and in the same way that we give Cenk a lot of credit for passionately arguing with people who defend Israel and for sticking up for and defending the rights and lives of Palestinians. In the same way, I do give Anna credit for that. So shout out to you, Chad. Really appreciate the super chat. I see what you're saying, but do disagree slightly. And thank you, Varisha. Really appreciate the $4.99. Anna is like J.K. Rowling, got criticized for her bad takes, presents herself as a feminist, and gets hugged by the hard right. That's actually very accurate. That actually is incredibly accurate. Obviously, Anna's not quite as far gone as J.K. Rowling. If you look at J.K. Rowling's Twitter, quite literally all that she posts about is turf shit. Anna's not quite there yet. She seemingly does have like a few other thoughts bouncing around in her skull. But yeah, she's definitely on that path.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe we might be getting a little bit of background sound from Griffin. I don't know if we're getting the audio coming out of the
That's weird. I'm not hearing
computer.
Here, I'll mute myself.
Okay. Yeah. And obviously feel free to unmute whenever you're talking. I just think we can hear the audio coming back through. It's fixed now, though. Shout out to you, Varisa. But I completely agree with what Gavin just added. And thank you so much for the $4.99. Curious to respond to this one from Nick Cooper. He says, F anti-homeless TYT, but many Foods Not Bombs volunteers see shelters as a real estate pawn. Grifters who get federal money to force Christian fundamentalism and unsafe food down their clients' throats. Well, thank you so much, Nick, for sending this super chat. Very generous, $10. And I completely agree with you that there's plenty of room for us to enhance and improve the homeless shelter situation in California. I totally agree with you that there's so much more that could be done. In fact, there's so much better use of the resources that are already being allocated. What maddens me about Ana Kasparian is instead of having a thoughtful, nuanced conversation about how we could reappropriate these funds to give more agency to unhoused folks and actually alleviate their suffering and get them on track to having a more stable lifestyle, we're talking about that's going to involve, access to mental health care, access to getting government IDs, access to getting drug treatment, access to all kinds of stuff, right? Long-term housing. Okay, I was actually just talking, my girlfriend Salisa was at a conference for journalists up in Missoula, Montana. One of the things that they're doing up in Missoula, Montana is it's like more of like a tiny home model. For people who don't know, the average price of a home in Missoula, Montana is like $600,000. It's been completely destroyed by the post-2020 Silicon Valley guys who want to have a getaway home somewhere, in the mountains, just remote. Right. But then all of the regular working people who've been there forever, but they're working on different strategies so that you can both allow these people to have a place to live, allow them to save money and have spending money. Right. You have to think of it as treating a whole problem. Ana wants to vilify it, call these left-wing organizations that are trying their best grifters, meanwhile celebrating and excusing the destruction and the inhumanity of people like Gavin Newsom and Rick Caruso.
Yeah, shout out to you, Nick. Really appreciate the generous $10. Always appreciate hearing from you.
I'm unmuting to say, preach, brother.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, 100%. And it sounds better now. Whatever you fixed, I think we're good.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, I 100% sign off on what Zach said. I think he articulated that really well. And obviously, you're correct to bring up those points, Nick. That is accurate.
Absolutely. Shout out to Death Ray for the $10. No words, no comments, just Riz. Really appreciate that, bro.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Money is speech.
True.
Retweet. That's what my government says. Shout out to Kevin, $4.99. You should watch Asmongold's video where he explains his lifestyle. Teeth rotted away, never showering, living in filth, okay with wasting away, harrowing. Yeah, he seems like the kind of guy that would be okay wasting away in filth. Jesus Christ.
I actually have a feeling that he's kind of LARPing. I have a feeling he's kind of LARPing with this whole thing. I feel like he knows that a lot of people in his audience actually do embody this lifestyle. And there are a lot of people that unironically don't only embody this lifestyle, but they're proud to embody this lifestyle. They're like, yeah, fuck it. I'm not going to clean my fucking room. I'm not going to brush my teeth. I'm going to live in filth. And I like it. So I think he realizes that a lot of his audience, I mean, you said he comes from the World of Warcraft world. Just saying, I'm sure there's a lot of that, I'm sure there's a lot of representation of that kind of person in that audience. So I have a feeling he's not actually as gross as he pretends he is. But who knows? What do you think, Griffin?
Oh no, he 100% is that gross. And yeah, I know him. I mean, I know he's been one of my streamers for a long time. And yeah, as a hardcore World of Warcraft player for sure. And it's just like as he's gotten into React culture over the last like 3 to 4 years and like really blown up as more of a cultural person that talks about all these issues, it's sad to see my where my Asmon gone.
Wow. Interesting. I guess I'm wrong then. He really is that gross. That's insane. He is. I'm a little OCD, so I have to shower every day. Like I literally will just not be comfortable if I don't. So I don't understand it. But especially if you're a fucking rich person, like if you're a successful streamer, you're serious. You can just pay someone to come clean your fucking room for you. Just hire a maid. Like, why are you living in filth? I get laziness, but if you're rich, what the fuck? It's like when rich people get DUIs, and I'm like, you can pay for a driver. Why are you doing this?
But then also it's like you can't take the lane to how to live life. Like here's the rules of life and how life works when you live like this. Just be the degenerate then. Like yeah, it doesn't fit, and that's why he's gonna keep getting in snafus like this because he's gonna keep in almost a Mr. Beast way. He's like part of the algorithm now. Like he is going to just talk about anything and everything, and it's just so Gamergate.
Yeah. Shout out to you, CJOJ, for giving us the heads up that Hassan and Asmongold were debating. Hassan's going too easy on him after what he said. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's kind of boring, kind of mid. We'll watch a compilation video with you guys and give our thoughts on that, but I'm not sifting through all the, what about the gay people in Gaza, huh? What about them? Like, I've heard enough of that.
Yeah, I imagine Hassan figured he could potentially try to nip this in the bud and like get on his good side, prevent him from going down the darkest road. So I see what Hassan is going for. Will it be effective? Who knows?
No. Shout out to look for Lek for the $5. I have a really good idea of why Ana was triggered by birthing person. My partner is also triggered by this. Anna is right wing. Was fertility forms?
Oh, are you trying to imply that she's like not able to give birth or something, and that she was triggered?
Oh, if maybe she can't have her own child, and that's why this touched on a sensitive area for her. That would be something. Potentially, that could be it. I would feel sorry for her if she, is struggling with that, but I also don't think it's a, justification for going after the trans community like that.
Yeah, I mean, this would just be more evidence that everything about Anna's politics is in reaction to, her perceived victimhood or whatever. And if that is the case, obviously very unfortunate, of course. But that is possible. I've not really thought of that.
Yeah. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, Niz5000, the Nizzy with the Rizzy, and the 5-piece super chat tizzy. Missed the stream. Just wanted to buy you guys a beer, but you'll have to share it. That's okay. Gavin and I had plenty of beers last night. We should savor and split one beer tonight.
Yeah, shout out to you, Niz. And we can still get 2 beers with $5. They might have to be like PBRs, but
that's true.
We can get it done.
Gavin's like, hold on, I'm still gonna get a natty ice from the liquor store. If Zach wants to have the natty ice from the liquor store, you can have the natty ice. I know, getting a big old can, paper bag, West Bottoms, Weibo style.
Edward 40 hands.
Gavin
baby.
loves it when I call his neighborhood Weibo.
I used to do Steel Reserve, $2.50, high gravity lager.
Ooh.
I
think I've had that.
The coffee shop.
Nasty 40 ounce.
Oh, okay, malt liquor. The coffee shop right by where we record in the River Market in Kansas City does $2 stags from 4 to 6, and that's a pretty good deal. And that's like an actual, I don't want to call it a bar, but it's
the liquor store in the West Bottoms has every one of those brands of like those 40 ounces of the malt liquor, whatever the fuck they're called. I'm like, who's getting this over a beer or like a seltzer? Like, who the fuck is it? Like construction workers or something? Like
40 ounce to freedom is the only chance I have.
It's all Sublime fans
feel
trying to get in the head of
feel
Bradley.
Yeah, man, they're not practicing Santeria. The Steel Reserve, just one of them gets you pretty toasty for like $2.50. It's 40 ounces of intense beer.
What was your first 40 ounce, Griffin? What brand?
It was either Steel Reserve or there was another one that was very similar in caliber. But I remember doing lots of Steel Reserve, and then Four Loko was huge back in the day.
Gavin and I had a Four Loko phase. We had a Four Loko phase that ended poorly, and I don't know, no more Loco.
That was after they took the caffeine out of them, though.
Yeah, so
right.
Dog shit malt liquor.
Yeah, they were just trash.
I was living in New York City when Four Loko came out, and literally, like the next morning, the streets were just have cans on every street. It took over the whole fucking city.
Yeah,
and it was crazy.
That guy Eddie Wong had the legendary bottomless Four Loko party that ended up getting the entire restaurant shut down when a guy fell out of the fucking glass window at the front of the fucking building. Yeah, and he had to shut it down. That's why he only had Bauhaus for so long. Anyway, that's
I don't understand. I mean, when we were like fucking 16 or 17, it was like, oh, this tastes better than beer or wine. But now I'm like, I could never ingest that much sugar. It's like a Mike's Hard lemonade or something, but in a can. Yeah. It's just disgusting.
But it was an upper originally. Like there was something in it that was like,
vodka
like
yeah, it was
did you ever
and shit.
Did you ever go to 8 Loco? Because that was like taking the Limitless pill twice. Like and just be like,
8 Loco? I never heard of that.
8 Loco?
Well, that's when you drink 2 Four Locos.
Oh yeah. I've done that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I've done 16 Locos.
You've done 16 Locos? Wow, and lived to tell the tale. Incredible.
And
still here.
Shout out to Lisa for becoming a YouTube member. For people who don't know, if you become a YouTube member, not only do you get priority in the chat, top chat forever, but you also get access to all of our live streams, uncut, unfiltered, and raw.
Yup. Shout out to you, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Veronica coming back in with another banger. I'm obviously ironic. Also, I am indeed an anti-Zionist from Israel. Dude,
let's fucking go.
We fuck with you. You can't, if you tried to ascribe blame for all the fucking crimes of our government on us, we would definitely perish under the weight of it all. And we don't ascribe the crimes of your government onto you, Veronica. You're welcome, member of the Vanguard podcast community and the Circle Jerk America.
Yeah, and also you're in like a way tougher position to have politics similar to us. Like it's easy for us. We're fucking in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I'm on a Hollywood lot. I don't know where they are, but yeah, I mean, like to be in the thick of it and to have that very minority
starring in the
opinion.
new Woody Allen movie. Is that what I just heard?
Yep, Woody Allen, Polanski are collabing on a new flick.
She calls him Woody the way he's Allen. No.
Yeah, shout out to you, Veronica. That is super interesting. Honestly, I mean, I don't know. It would almost be interesting to like have you on to chat about that. Like, it would be really interesting. It's crazy to even imagine living in Israel right now, given what's going on, and being an anti-Zionist, as you say you are. So really appreciate the super chat. You know, I know you're always a member of our community, and we always appreciate your comments. I hope you're doing all right. I hope you're safe. Must be a very interesting situation over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
To say the least.
Shout out to All Things New as well. I noticed I believe that's Anna, doesn't do anti-Trump segments, only anti-Democrats. They've curated a segment for her, and she shows contempt for race issues. Yeah, that sounds like Anna. That sounds like the Ana Kasparian I know.
Yeah, this is actually true. I was watching TYT the other day. Jink did a segment bashing Trump, and then he cuts to Anna and says, like, do you have anything to say about this? And she was just like, nope. And then they moved on to a segment where she shit all over the
I remember that. Yeah,
it was crazy. It was like a fucking parody of what you would imagine. It was like you can't say anything about this segment. You don't have anything to say about this anti-Trump segment. All right, whatever. But it is weird, and it seemed awkward too. Like increasingly, I think another reason that TYT is losing viewers, it's not just because of the pivot, it's because the show increasingly sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like there's much chemistry. It doesn't seem like they're having fun. Like, to me, a big part of the appeal of TYT back in 2015, 2016 is that it felt like they were really having fun. Like, they had that crazy soundboard. They were always blasting those effects. You know, animals are innocent. Like, all that kind of shit. That was like the TYT that I fell in love with. They were colorful. They were like use curse words a lot on air. They would say the F word, stuff like that. It really seemed like it was a joyful community. Nowadays, it's like, you know, it just seems like everyone's miserable. Everyone's just like showing up out of obligation to take home the paycheck, specifically Anna. But I think it's really rubbed off on Jink too, because I see him just awkwardly kind of like trying to adjust in real time to the new dynamic and not really being able to. It's kind of sad, like I said, given the fact that I once was a big fan of TYT, and to see them go in this direction is really unfortunate. But yeah, shout out to you, All Things New.
Oh, and shout out to Canadians for Kamala, $20, sending you love from Canada. Wow. Well, we appreciate all that love. We're soaking it in, and we really appreciate the 20 Canada bucks.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Canadians for Kamala.
You're 1K away from the truth.
I was about to bring that up. I was like, careful, bro.
Moving on after this very generous and kind person tried to, send us love. You guys want to respond like that? Typical leftist, typical divisive.
This is what Anna
actors.
was talking about. This is what Anna was.
This
talking
is why
about.
Ana Kasparian left the left. You cost us the Young Turks network. If the deep state did try to murk DT,
change your analysis.
Wait, what is that?
If the deep state did try to murk Donald Trump, does that change our analysis? No. No, I'm team deep state if they tried to take out old Don.
I could see it. Here's what I think is possible as far as the conspiracies go. I don't think that they tried to murk Donald Trump. What I could see is them kind of just letting it happen, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, kind of like with 9/11. Like, I don't think the government was necessarily behind it. They let it happen, though. In the same way, I could see them just being like, "Oh shit, too bad we forgot to check that roof." You know?
No, we didn't respond to that email from Mossad. Left that one in the inbox a little too long. Yeah, I don't know if the deep state tried to kill Donald Trump. The thing that I've learned from talking to people who have worked in the intelligence agencies, talking to whistleblowers, and just starting to hear about certain even podcast hosts who I'm very suspicious of potentially being some sort of plant or former. I mean, the CIA itself has a podcast now. Like, they have their own podcast.
The dude that went after Breaking Points? Is that what you're talking about?
That guy?
He's CIA too, right?
That guy is the pro-Ukraine guy, Ryan, what's his face? Burger King. He fucking he's like all for the Ukraine war and like admits that he like has worked in military intelligence and consults people for his YouTube videos like straight. So he like is pretty open about it. But there are other creators where I'm pretty certain they have a connection to someone. No. Not people I just don't like, but like people that I'm like, you're kind of funky and there's nothing that really comes up about you. But what I've learned from all that, kind of a long lead up, is these intelligence agencies actually are pretty segmented in terms of their politics, and they're not all cohesive in terms of all striving towards like one goal. There's like so many factions like within these like deep state areas, and it's so amorphous that like, could there be a faction that wants to kill Donald Trump? Maybe, yeah. But like, I don't think like the entire deep state is like working on an assassination attempt.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I also think that even if it was true, I don't actually think it would be because like they view Donald Trump as an actual threat. If anything, it would be like he's fucking annoying. We don't want to have to deal with him. Not because like he's gonna drain the swamp or whatever, but just because he's such a fucking embarrassment. It's just going to create chaos for the establishment. You know what I mean? Like,
a Project Lincoln assassination type. Yeah.
I just think the reality is it's incompetent cops being incompetent cops. But I hear you.
Yeah. No one wants to work anymore. It's probably just everyone being bad at their jobs.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Pendulous Dragon, member for 1 month. Damn, TYT jerked a lot off of.
Damn, TYT jerked a lot of leftist.
It's an actor's exercise. Warms your mouth up. Say it 5 times fast.
TYT jerked a lot of leftist. Wow, thank you for that. Lips, teeth, tip of the tongue.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Pendulous Dragon. It was also Pendulous Dragon whose video we played at the beginning of the show with the bird.
Oh, cool.
T-shirt. Yeah, that was Pendulous. Shout out to you, man. Really appreciate you being a supporter of the Vanguard. I know you've been incredibly disillusioned with the Young Turks, so we're happy to provide a voice to the voiceless over here.
Absolutely. We also did see the clip. Jill Stein went on like a MAGA YouTubers podcast, and a lot of people were
really
about this. Did y'all hear about what Jill Stein said about January 6th? I think actually this is pretty low level.
She said she would have participated in it herself, right?
No.
Oh, really? Yeah. She said she's like, I want to shit on Pelosi's desk.
She basically, all she said was that she believed that there were crimes committed and that some people should be punished, but she also believed that it was over politicized and that she was willing to like take a look at the cases as they, came to her if she was in office, which I thought was a pretty just, who fucking cares answer as far as Jill Stein goes.
Yeah, jokes aside, I actually totally agree with that. People were using it as this gotcha. But if you actually watch the clip, clearly Jill Stein was deeply uncomfortable with this interviewer. This person was like, basically like, are you going to free the January 6th, 28 or whatever?
Shaman.
Yeah, who it's like they're Chicago 7, like however many of these dumb fuck idiots are on trial or whatever. Are you going to free them? And Jill Stein, clearly she wasn't trying to like start a debate. So she was just kind of like, I'll have to look at it. Obviously, a lot of times the justice system is screwed up. So maybe some of these people do. It was a whatever kind of answer. I don't think it was like as incriminating as some people were acting like it was. There's legitimate reasons to criticize Jill Stein, as we have. You don't need to just take every single thing she says and try to construe it as like she's evil and a Trump supporter. Like, she's not a Trump supporter. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'd like to see Jill and the QAnon shaman on an episode of Love Is Blind.
Are you sure? I would go with Naked and Afraid instead.
Oh. Naked and Afraid.
Anyway, shout out to Hysteric Raider. $5 for shouting out the animals are innocent guy. Shout out to you, Hysteric Raider.
Yeah, shout out to you, man. I hope you like my rendition of that little soundbite.
And with that, we have wrapped today's live stream. Oh, no, actually, Pedro the Lion sent in, what's up with that Whitmer communion? Hey, man.
Yes.
A little bit of a Dorito communion.
That was weird. What was your opinions, Griffin?
Fuck. Okay. Can we pull it up?
Yeah, but I do have to get out of here in just a second.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. We don't have to pull it up. But I'll just say, God, it was very sexy. It was so sexy, and
Most
I
predictable take ever.
I think that it was designed to be sexy. I think
was.
I don't think
It was
that's
hot.
I don't think that's crazy to say. It was
Gavin and I
hot.
have to rule. Griffin thinks everything's hot. He was prepared to drop his drawers for
This is sexy. Come
Christine
on.
home after she'd slaughtered her dog and buried it in a gravel pit. He was like, you know what? I'm still ready to go. But I think that the community has ruled.
Look at that stare.
This was a hypererotic.
This is a oh, I know what I do.
How can
This
this
is
be interpreted as anything other than a mockery of Catholics?
based.
This
a
is
mockery of the holy
this is a-
sacrament.
This is the Dommy Mommy Big Gretch. For me, how hard would this video be hitting right now if we actually had a primary and Whitmer was the candidate and she was up like 10 points, leading like 25 days from the election, she was leading like 10 points in the general and just did this video? Like, oh my God, like we would just be living in the perfect timeline, the perfect fucking timeline. So all I said is the video aroused me like it was supposed to, but also excited me for the future, I'm excited for her to be the nominee in 2028.
Yep, it tickled the old prostate for Griff.
Yep. Anyway, we appreciate all you guys for tuning in today. Thanks, Griffin, for stopping by. This was an awesome live stream. Got a lot of people tuning in today, so we really appreciate that. Shout out to you, C Joy J. Really appreciate the $5. Did y'all see Emma versus Francesca say at least we're not leaving the left during a recent majority report segment? I wondered what Emma thinks regarding Ana. No, I didn't see that, but that's interesting. I'll have to find that clip and maybe we'll play it soon. Really appreciate that. And hopefully at some point we can ask him about that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Behind the scenes, I happen to know that a lot of people from all networks have feelings about Anna's development, right? Most of it's not super positive. But shout out to you, C. Joe J, for the $5 and for giving us the heads up about the Asmongold Hassan Piker discussion. I wouldn't even really call it a debate. It wasn't spicy enough. But shout out to you. Really appreciate it nonetheless. And last but not least, all things new. Obama was right. Black people must progress. Most progress within.
What's in there? Obama was right.
All right. I guess that's true. This person commented from across the pond too. You know, I always like to say, hey, remember you have a king before you start giving advice to Americans from across the pond. That's okay. All things new. We still appreciate your insight. You're still a whole human being. You're still worthy of participation in discourse, even though you have King Charles boot to kiss every night before bed.
Yeah. Thanks for the super chat. All right. Let's shout out the patrons. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Like I said, it was great to have you on, Griffin. Appreciate you stopping by. And yeah, huge shout out to the Patreon community. Hit up the link in the description, folks, if you want to support the show. Just $5 a month to get your own name up there on the shout out screen, get access to our perks, find out about all of that, like I said, by hitting up the link in the description.
Yeah, appreciate everybody that tuned in today. It was another fun live stream. Cracked 2K at one point. That's pretty big time for the Vanguard for Circle Jerk America.
And we'll pull we'll put the full VOD for CGA up on the CGA channel. So if you guys watch the clips, you can click through to watch the whole thing over there too.
Absolutely. Go ahead and check it out over there. Really appreciate everybody. Come back and see us tomorrow when we bang on with another Vanguard live stream. Griffin will be back with us next week. You can follow him on Twitter. The works. It's good stuff.
Absolutely. Peace out, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep. Let's play that old tune about the Vanguard. Wait, look out the door.
Look
when
out
you hear an ambulance.
the door. All right. See you guys.
The Vanguard will be there.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there.